Thomas Sankara is easily Africa's greatest leader. He touched on every aspect of the society. He had education reforms, he had environmental reforms, he had healthcare reforms, he even had women reforms, and then his anti-imperialistic stands were second to none. But the most intriguing for me is anti-corruption stand. This man was living by example. He first of all started by lowering his own salary. And in his office, and this is as head of state, he lowered his own salary. And then in his office, he refused to have the AC working. He could have used his ACs, but no. He wanted to feel what the people felt so that he will be more effective, in his dispensation of reforms. And as if that was not enough, he sold off all the government vehicles, all the luxury vehicles that the government before him was using, starting with the president's Mercedes-Benz vehicles. He sold them all off and then proceeded to buy the cheapest vehicles at that time in Burkina Faso, which were a Renault 5S. That was what he bought and started using as the president. He went on to mandate all civil servants to declare their assets. Starting with him, he declared his own assets and mandated all civil servants to do the same. He then launched a campaign encouraging all the citizens to report public officers who were found corrupt. And then he established a people's tribunal where the citizens themselves tried public officers who were found corrupt. So this kept everybody on their toes. And guess what? After 4 years, when he was assassinated, guess what assets could be traced to him? One bicycle, one guitar, one fridge. That was all Thomas Sankara had to his name. He didn't just stop at anti-corruption reforms. There were others. Now, let's talk about them. Education reforms, where he made education accessible to all citizens, and he grew the literacy rates of Burkina Faso from 15% to 75%. He also had what he called environmental reforms, where he fought the desertification of his country by planting 10 million trees. And he came out himself and was part of that activity, the planting of 10 million trees. He participated directly. He didn't just give orders, he participated directly. What about his healthcare reforms? He launched a mass vaccination campaign in his country where he reduced infant mortality and then eradicated polio, measles, and meningitis. Then there was that aspect of women empowerment where he stopped what the Europeans call, or what the West calls, the female genital mutilation. And then he stopped forced marriages and encouraged women participation in public offices. In fact, he had more women in his government than men. And finally, his anti-imperialistic stance was next to none. He insisted on self-sufficiency of his people. He refused to take any Western aided loans like the IMF, etc., because he said that they were traps. They had so many conditions that if you took them, you would just become a Western puppet. And he didn't want that. I do not know of any African leader who sacrificed his comfort for that of his people, who lived a Spartan life like he did. They all enjoyed the perks or the comfort that came with their offices, but not Thomas Sankara. He wanted to feel what the people felt. He wanted to live like the people. He refused any luxury that was attached to his office, including his salary, the comfort of his office, the cars, the houses. He refused all of them and decided to live like the people did so that he will grow with the people. That, in my mind, is the greatest sacrifice anybody can make. Thomas Sankara made that sacrifice, which was why he changed the name of his country from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, which means land of incorruptible men. Thomas Sankara was incorruptible.